There have been many opportunities for the President of the Republic of Kenya, and to be specific, 3 interviews and press briefings that President has come to speak. And these opportunities to speak directly and effectively on the unfortunate deaths and painful abductions of members of the public, but he's lost the plot. And outrightly, President Ruto has declined to acknowledge that the abductions and the killings were actually reckless. Having watched the presidential roundtable, my lowest point is this.
Mr. President, this boy, 12-year-old, took 8 bullets. 8 bullets into the body of a 12-year-old boy. What would you tell the mother of that boy?
That boy is alive, right?
No, it's not.
Kennedy Onyango died.
He's died.
So he's the one who died?
Yes.
So you're not talking about the person who was shot with rubber bullets?
No.
No.
Yeah?
Shot with bullets 8 times.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
In Ngong, this is the situation in Ngong, right? In Ngong, there was an incident where the police were overpowered by criminals. They took a firearm from the police. They used that firearm against people. And one policeman had to shoot this fellow who had hijacked a gun from a policeman so that not to endanger the lives of more citizens. It is among the 3 people. One of the criminals is among the 3 people who was shot by the police after they overpowered the police and took the bullet and took the gun from the police and used it against innocent citizens. I cannot confirm to you that this is not the man that shot the child, but investigations are going on and we will get to the bottom of it.
Mr. President,
I am telling the mother of this young person.
I don't know whether he didn't have the brief. How can a child have 8 gunshots and then still survive? And the Joe Agay and Linus and Latif were actually telling him that the boy is dead. I have been consistent on the issue of human rights violation. I want to explain to you why that interview, the objective of that interview collapsed terribly. Kindly, before that, we have an urgent appeal that I want us to listen to here.
Lenye tulikuwa maandamano, I have twisted my joint, my hip joint. Ni uchungu lakini msiache. Aluta continue. Niache nione nitibiwe. But msiache. Fight, don't stop. Fight mtu fight mpaka sisi wengine wenye tumeumia. Don't stop, fight for us. Fight for our freedom. Fight with your last drop. Mimi ningekuwa nimeumia kidogo ningeendelea, but siwezi tembea. Thank you.
Hi guys, I thank you so much for your support and your messages. I really appreciate. I'm still in a lot of pain. I cannot move, but I'm trying my best to get better.
That lady is known as Brenda Nyabuto. Brenda twisted his hip joint. During the protest in Nakuru, the time when they went to State House, the State House in Nakuru, there were live bullets that were fired. And so when she was running, from there she fell on a ditch and twisted her hip joint. And she's reeling in pain. I just spoke to her. And of course she cannot move yet, but I love the fact that she's saying, aluta continua. But I talked to her and we decided that I want us Timbul to take up her case so that she can be taken to the hospital on Wednesday. So let's push through. I was looking, I think, around 100,000, 150,000, so that she can be taken to the hospital urgently on Saturday, and further medical attention is needed. I think it's very important. I just spoke to her. She's into some pain, and of Team Ball, we said, these kids were fighting for us, and let's come out. Let's support. Any amount you can get, kindly. Let's support Brenda. President Ruto called the Roundtable. And let me just check. I saw that invite in the WhatsApp. That was what time? Yes, this was 10:14 a.m. So by that 10:14 a.m., that invite was there. And the structure was narrowed. You can see that it was just the three. Citizen, Linus Kekai, the KTN, Latif, the standard, that was Latif, and also Nation, Joageo. And this was after, and there was an objective to this interview. The first one, he needed a roundtable to recite the policies in the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza, probably to remind the country about that manifesto. The second objective why the state house called that interview, according to me, was to pacify the Generation Z. Remember the Generation Z had declined any sort of meeting with him, and just to try to control the narrative, just to try to pacify any protest coming next week. Because what I saw next is some bloggers, pro-government blog, state house aligned bloggers saying that people should not go to the street because the president has spoken to the nation. And lastly, they're struggling to set agenda of the week, because the Generation Z are actually controlling the agenda. They're actually getting the airtime in the media, and the narrative is actually spiraling on their end. So there was every need for that. And I think I was waiting for the president to tell the young people that kindly don't go to the street. Don't go to protest. I did not hear that. But I want to tell you, I paid attention to these four critical questions. Number one, the president has decided that he cannot call out the opulence and arrogance by those around him.
We have 4 hours of a talk show. And many times we ask people, even those who come to the show, to tell us what is it that the nation is saying when we are seeing people out on the streets. And many of them, even when we said that we were coming, you have invited us to come and have this conversation this evening, they said, tell the president that he's tone deaf. And we ask why and how. And they say, when William Ruto took over as president, he took over a budget of 3.2 trillion shillings. He went to Parliament and he said, Honorable Speakers, I believe that this budget is too high. We should cut it by 300 billion shillings. So you believed barely 1.5 years ago that you can run the country with 2.9 trillion shillings. Barely a few months, you went to Parliament and requested to spend 3.6 trillion shillings. This year, you went to Parliament and initially requested to spend 4.2 trillion shillings. And what do they see in return? They see extravagance in government. They see a government that is pushing gung-ho to employ new people called CASs. They see a government that is purchasing new motor vehicles and trips that are extravagant. They see opulence with those that are close to the president appearing in public carrying wads of cash. They see condescending attitude from those who serve in this government when they're asked, why are you spending? And they respond the way they respond. Your advisors speaking the same. And so they see a government where the president is telling people, we are going to live within our means. We are all going to tighten our belts. We have austerity. They end up with their children not going to school because for months JS teachers are on strike. They end up with, right now, 91 days where clinical officers have not been to work. 91 days, Mr. President. We ended up with intern doctors going on strike for weeks because the government says it has no money. We end up with people going to the hospitals and there is no medicine. We end up with people who are being told that we don't have money to pay salaries, or we don't have money to pay salaries and also having development. Yet, they see all this extravagance and opulence from those in power. You are tone deaf, Mr. President, that's what they say.
Well, I guess that's why we must have a conversation. That's why we must have a conversation. And I'm very happy for us to have this conversation so that we can put the facts on the table and we can all of us make a decision. But let me tell you the following. I've listened to you, and let me also tell you that today the universities, which were almost closed, they had debts of 60 billion shillings.
He was asked about this question, and he kept on dodging. If you've watched the 1 hour and 43 minutes interview, he kept on dodging that question. He was asked, coming as if you want to answer, then just dodging that question and leave it. And that tells you that he's not really in for what the members of public think. He actually dodged the question on opulence. The second question I also felt was not answered and really came as a surprise is the lying tongue. Remember when Linus was saying that many Kenyans feel there is a trust deficit?
There are Kenyans who watch you, Your Excellency, and I don't know whether you are aware that they don't trust what you say. They don't believe what you say. Are you aware, Your Excellency, for example, that a lot of Kenyans increasingly don't associate the truth with you?
That is your assessment because you have never associated the truth with me from the beginning.
No, there's quite a number of Kenyans.
No, I mean, that is your
We asked people before we came here
That's
this
the
evening,
assessment.
Yeah.
and many of those that responded to me directly and to even our platforms on KTN News, on Spice FM, on NTV, on Citizen, and we were asking them, what question should we ask the president this evening? And the one thing that many of them were saying is, when will he stop lying? So it's not Linus.
Can you tell us the truth this time?
Let me say the following. I told the people of Kenya that I would reduce the prices of fertilizer from 7,000 to 2,500. I don't know how that is a lie, because they buy it at 2,500.
Okay.
I told the people of Kenya we're going to have a housing program. A housing program is underway in Kenya. I can tell you, Linus, that whether you believe me or not, facts will not change.
Yeah, and
facts are not changed by who says it.
And allow me to step back a bit, Your Excellency.
And facts are very stubborn.
Allow me to step back a bit.
Yes.
And what I'll do is we'll play clips. Just
who says it.
And allow me to step back a bit, Your Excellency.
And facts are very stubborn.
Allow me to step back a bit.
Yes.
And what I'll do is we'll play clips. Just a little combination of clips of yourself speaking not too long ago, and I want us to listen to that. I'll stand out of the way because you said it's me that doesn't associate the truth with you, and I would like you to respond to yourself, to the clips that we are going to play.
But you see, Linus.
Let's watch that, Your Excellency.
I think, Linus,
yeah.
You don't bring clips that are in a biased way. You select maybe something that has not happened.
No.
Can you be fair and select clips across the board? What I said and has been done, and what I said and maybe has not been done.
So let's watch that. Maybe you can watch that. Yeah.
Waeleze ya kwamba these people don't understand the damage they are doing to the people and the economy of Kenya. Kwa hii taxes wanaongeza usiku na mchana. Na mimi nataka niwaulize watu wa hapa Manga, tafadhali, Mkiona tumesimama hapa mbele yenu, tunawaambia ya kwamba tutengeneze hiyo serikali inakuja ambayo inaelewa lugha ya mwananchi wa kawaida. If you have good ideas, why do you need the police? Why do you need blackmail? Why do you need intimidation? If you have better ideas, sell them to the people of Kenya. There are enough intelligent people in Kenya to differentiate what is good from what is better and what is best.
Ni jambo mbaya sana kama tutatumia askari polisi kuumiza wananchi wasio na hatia eti kwa sababu wako na maoni tofauti ya kisiasa.
Niwaeleze ya kwa
I agree with that. It is not fair to use the police to harass citizens who have a contrary opinion. And that is perfect.
That's what they're accusing you of.
I still believe that.
That's what they're accusing you of.
But you don't tell me that... What is the problem with Alfred Keter?
Yeah.
Alfred Keter, no, it's not a contrary opinion. I mean, the police have said why they arrested him. It is not because of me. I didn't give any instructions. I didn't even know what was going on. Let me tell you, Linus, I am a very clear-minded person on what I say. When it is the police, I have said, many of the people who opposed me, many of the people who were very scared about what I would do when I become president, even the people who did worse things against me, I have never gone after them because I don't believe in settling political scores using the power of state or using the police. Let me also say the following. When I talked about the taxes that I was
on the campaign trail, yes.
I was.
This question to me was very critical because this is the discussion going on in public. The president yesterday announced and requested for, formulated a forum to engage with the Generation Z. But one of the biggest challenges of any sort of engagement now is the point of you are not going to implement what you've said. And even right to a point where you're being told about what you said. You know, even Lilas Kaikai and the team had to play past videos reminding the president of what you said in the past and you never made it happen. It should worry the president. And I like the fact that I've seen some people feeling like the questions were a bit trivial. But that is how they were to be made because President Ruto is very ruthless, responding to you. And he kept on, he kept on repelling questions, always dominating the conversation, and any follow-up question that will come will always keep on saying, wait, I explain, and did not really take up. So that's why I said it was an opportunity to recite the manifesto, the UDA manifesto. The third question is the position of dropping finance bill.
And sadly, loss of lives, for you to come to a point where you realize what your people, the people that voted for you, are saying. That, I think, is what the young people are asking.
Let me tell you, Joe, members of parliament are representatives of the people, elected. They are not fools and they are not mad. And I want to say, one day, Kenya will know that the MPs who voted yes are the true heroes of Kenya. Those are the people who saw the opportunity for us to unchain our country from debt trap and take our country to the future. Let me tell you, Joe, and I want to say this to the people of Kenya, that my plan was to make sure that in the next 3 years, maximum 4 years, we have a balanced budget, where Kenya is not the country where we are today. Let me tell you, gentlemen, and I want to tell the people of Kenya the following. We are in a very difficult financial position. This is something that the people of Kenya must understand, and that is why I am happy that we have a crisis. This crisis will help us be candid and speak to each other properly and contextualize where we are. We raised this year 2.3 trillion from our taxes. Of that 2.3 trillion, 1.1 trillion went to debt financing. 1 trillion went to salaries. What did we do? We had to go and borrow to pay the counties. We had to go and borrow to fund our education. We had to go and borrow to fund. Now, the funding gap we have done with the finance bill going down is that instead of borrowing 600 billion, we are going to borrow 600 billion plus 346 billion. That is close to $1 trillion. And let me tell you, my good friends, and I want us to be honest with ourselves. This is not how a country will get to a status where we are proud of our nation. This is not how we are going to. This is not how we are going to grow. And that is why. Linus, this situation, this crisis is a very important inflection point that we can sit together, assess. Let us agree. And I have no problem. Let us agree.
Yeah.
Do we continue borrowing? And let me give you the statistics. When in 2013, Linus, just allow me 1 minute, please, with a lot of respect.
Okay.
In 2013, the debt stock of Kenya was 1.8 trillion. For 10 years, that increased 5 times to 11 trillion, 10 point something.
From day one, and people who follow the Bold, this channel, have been saying, from the day Kenya Kwanza MPs were standing behind the president and the Finance and Budget Committee chairperson Kimani Ichung'wah read the concessions that apparently Kenya Kwanza had made on that finance bill. That is the day, the moment the president spoke later, he was asking the MP some very tough questions. And it was my clear position that William Ruto never took those concessions very positive, and he was just coerced into those concessions. And today, I want you to listen to how he emphasized, and he was saying, you know, because we've dropped this finance bill, even though he's resisting from saying the members of public have pushed them to drop, he's saying himself he has dropped, which apparently there is no problem on who has dropped. Then this and that, JSS teachers are not going to get their way, the nurses are not going to get, the intern doctors are not going to be employed, and we are not going to borrow 1 trillion from the market. And there is one silent point I've always said. All that we can do, the office of first lady, second lady, and whichever lady are not going to be there in the CS. But don't you agree that the big problem is not even how we are spending? The big problem, the big problem the country is facing is on how we are looting. I agree that we should ban church arambees. I agree. Because there are a lot of money going into people's pockets. Tenders that are being given to people are being blotted left, right, and center. Ghost workers in the payrolls. So I think much as he's trying to make those adjustments, but there is one clear point you can say, and I was keen on that. I was so keen on that point, because what the president is telling the country is those concessions have happened on as a matter of because of those protests. Those are not concessions, and I think you should not take credit for those concessions because he didn't make them. If the president is the person that made those concessions, then he would have made them before even the protest, and he would have prevented a lot. Number 3 is the failure to listen to the people. This has been the problem. This has been the biggest problem that everyone has been talking about. That Mr. President, you're not listening to us. They are saying this, but haven't I tried? And someone said, and someone asked him about that. I have tried this. This is what the people are saying, but that is not what we are doing, and could not answer those questions well. Now, that's why I want to say the mission to pacify, the big mission for that interview, it happened at a time when I think when I was one of my friends in the car, and we were coming home, and I shared with him, I actually told him that, oh, you know what, let's rush home. The president is going to be live from 7. Then he was like, what does he want to say? Everyone was asking, why is the president coming out to speak now? What is he going to speak? What does he want to say? He should just keep quiet, just keep off. You know, and he wanted to pacify the Gen Z so that they don't come out and protest. That was the big reason. But all that is collapsing because of these 3 reasons. Number 1, Ruto's stand on police brutality is completely compromised. Completely compromised. In fact, you can make those concessions, and those concessions were before the finance bill, before the protest. Aftermath of the protest, one of the biggest things that is annoying the members of the public is those abductions and the brutality meted on the members of the public. We have agreed, and I absolutely agree with President Ruto, that there were criminal elements in those protests. I completely agree with him on that. There were criminal elements. There are people who took advantage, infiltrated it, and did it. But I also agree in equal measure, and I think that is where the country should agree, that in the same way there are also police elements who also infiltrated the good police system and brutalized the members of the public unnecessarily. I don't know what's making it difficult to create that balance. That is the balance that the public wants to see. But because he's the commander-in-chief as in charge of government, he cannot call out the police. And this is a mistake he's making. I remember last time, after the police brutality in Kisumu, he went to Kisumu at some point and, you know, immediately came back and said, the police did a good job. It is true, the police might have done a good job in actually protecting some areas. But it is also true that there are criminal elements even within the security apparatus that brutalize the members of the public. And the president's position on that, the president's stand on that is completely compromised. And that is why he's asking, you're being told of an 8-year-old boy was shot 8 times, 8 bullets on the body. And then you're asking, is he dead? Did he die? You know, we are not striking that. And I think if there is something that the president needs to be told is own up. Own up. Now, the other second thing is the issue of Ruto is defending the government even as the members of the public are seeing failure. But for him, he's putting a brave face. Of course, as the leader of government, you do not see him to make concessions on things that are not going on well. The truth of the matter here is things are not going on well. Even without this finance bill, we had a previous finance bill, we had problem sending money to the counties. We had problems with our Linda Mama. We had to scrap Linda Mama. We've had problems with Eduafia in the high school. We've had problems with capitation in the high schools. We've had problems all over. So we cannot say that because it is this bill, and I think it's defending. What I would expect is own up first. Say, yes, there is a problem. There's no problem. Kenyans are not going to kill you. Say, yes, there is a problem. And then this and this is what I'm going to do moving forward. But if you remain in the combative and defensive edge, people then lose the trust. Oh, he's denying. You know, when you deny, people see you are lying. And I think the past contradictions have caused trust deficit. So in fact, the biggest challenge Kenya Kwanza have is that trust deficit. President Ruto can be to the Gen Z today, but they won't believe what he's saying. Say, anasamanga he, then tomorrow is that. He promised this and is not delivered this. It is this about me. So I think that is a big problem. And if that interview was called to pacify the Gen Zs, I am convinced that has not been achieved. But you can also give me your feedback on what you think. Thank you.